Ahmedabad because their campus is a lot in the same. So kudos for the campus. I am Anirudh. I'm from Google. I handle large customer sales in Google, and I'm going to be talking about outbound marketing from a very Google perspective. Just covering Google is a big deal, so I thought I'll just focus on Google because like when I was asked for the talk, so initially they asked me for covering the whole outbound marketing area. So I said that I won't be able to cover Facebook and Twitter and all that, and I'm not really allowed to talk about these things in great detail, right? So I'm going to be talking about reaching relevant people online, and first a little bit of introduction about myself. So I graduated with a BTech from IIT Guwahati, and following which I started a company in fuel cells at CIE Ahmedabad. And so we pivoted later on to a power data analytics firm, and we had clients Tata Power and Reliance Energy. So we were typically doing data analytics for them, and we were telling them where a theft could be happening or where a network loss could be happening, and so on and so forth. Right. So I exited that company in 2012. Later on, I joined as a marketing head for an education startup, which was in GMAT test preps. So after that, I joined Google in their large customer sales team. So some of the clients which I typically work with are Tata, Jaguar, Land Rover, Honda, Domino's, BMW, and Asian Paints. So these clients, like I know this is for SMBs and enterprise tech startups, but a lot of the lessons which I have from my experience of working with these clients can be easily transferred to startups, because a lot of these clients are really particular about their CPAs, right? And startups are also really particular about their CPAs or cost per acquisitions. So that's why I think it should be a good lesson. So I'll just start with a very basic cookie cutter slide from how the internet is right now, just a review of the numbers. So that's how we typically start a presentation with, right? So there are 150 million Indians on internet, and this is the number from Google cookies, right? So we drop a cookie on every computer, and where people are searching from, and this is the number from there. So it's a unique users we have in country right now. There are about 87 million mobile users, which is a pretty big number, more than 50%. Around 30% penetration in the urban India, and pretty high in rural India as well. And there are 50% internet users from tier 2 and tier 3 towns, which is very good in case you're selling a product for these markets. Right. So the online users is the India's core consuming class, right? So we have 75% are between the age of 15 and 34 years, which is also the primary audience which makes the purchasing decisions in a lot of the projects and industries, right? So 60% of urban internet users are SECNB. SECNB is a marketing term which basically means like people who are in the top end or the top spectrum of the purchasing cycle, right? People who spend more, right? This is just a statistic on how many women are there and how many men are there, and this is steadily changing. I think this was year 50-50 right now, right? And mostly the consuming class is online, right? So that typically favors whenever we know that we are selling it to the right people, because they are the decision makers, right? Alright, and this space is increasing at a phenomenal pace, and 10x growth in the last 5 years. With mobiles it has been to 50x growth. So anybody who's in the mobile internet space, it's a very good time to be in India, and very good time to be selling mobile apps and mobile games, especially in India, right? Because the growth has been phenomenal. 60 million people have a smartphone in 2013, and this number is going to be more than 181 million in 2016. Right, so another good point in case there are any mobile startups here. Right, just another slide on YouTube, like how big YouTube is. As many will know, YouTube is the second biggest search engine after Google, and there is one video played for every 2.5 search queries. Right, so another big opportunity which is coming in India is YouTube, right? And 28% of all the videos which are there are consumed on mobile devices. This is another big fact which we can keep in mind whenever we are thinking of ideas and whenever we are going for the right marketing techniques. I'll also pitch in YouTube later on, like how we can include YouTube in our marketing plans, because this is really important, because a lot of people, when they are, especially startups, when they are thinking about marketing online, they always forget the fact that they have to build a brand as well. Because no matter which space you are in, there is always a lot of competition there, right? And you have to be there building a brand at all times. I've never heard a startup which says, I don't want to build a brand, because they want to build a brand at all times, because you want to be up there in the mind of the consumer. Otherwise, like, why even be there, right? So so YouTube is going to be an important part of any marketing plan that we should make, right? So just a small rerun of what the different phases of marketing online are: SEOs, blogs, paid reviews, PR, search, display banners, video, mobile, right? So I'll just talk a little bit about how paid versus free is there and what are the pros and cons. I just made it 2x2 slide very quickly. I just made it at the last minute, so it's not very good looking, so excuse that. Right, so actually paid versus free is actually the wrong way to call it, because even free marketing is paid because you're paying in the terms of times and resources, right? So it's not really free, right? So I can call it inbound versus outbound, right? So in paid, the good points about paid is that there is very little spillover, right? So because you can reach the right audience at the right time, right? So you can have the targeting methods based on demographic, location, device. You cannot do that with outbound marketing, right? Because you cannot control it. With paid marketing, you can control it very well, right? And it is more efficient because you're reaching the right people, right? Then you can leverage different mediums, right? With the inbound marketing, the thing is that usually it is only about articles and blogs and all that. It's all written content, and a lot of people, because they have they're short on time, it's not always possible for them to sit and read all those blogs, right? And it is getting tougher and tougher to produce great content because everybody is producing great content, right? So with paid marketing, it is possible to have mobile banners, it is possible to have videos, and it is possible to have mobile advertising and all sorts of stuff. You can have apps which are running in apps and all that. So that's pretty much very dynamic when it comes to reaching, right? And the last thing is like whenever people think of paid marketing, never think of it as like something which is different from let's say our organic thing, right? It's always an addition to it, because you're not paying in paid marketing whenever somebody is not clicking on your ad, right? You're always paying them as soon as somebody clicks on your ad. So it's always over and above your organic thing, right? Cons are like it's paid, right? So alright. And sometimes with paid marketing, the thing is that some people have this ad blindness, like people don't look at ads right now. But we are seeing that trend is changing. At Google, we have internal facts. Like we see that in a lot of places the ad CTRs are changing a lot, and the percentage of traffic coming from paid is increasing quite steeply. Like it has been 40% growth over the last 2 years, which we see, right? And with free, the thing is that the only resources required are your time and effort, and it pays you multiple times over, right? Because that content is out there. With paid, let's say once you have done your ad campaign, like you cannot reap benefit over and over again. With free, you can, because let's say if your blog is out there and the site is still running, presumably, then people can keep coming in from there over and over again, right? And in some cases, free is more convincing because you have more mind space with the consumer. Why I say that is because let's say a person, whenever he's reading a blog or if he's reading your inbound content, so you get a lot of time to basically explain the consumer what the problem is, where you fit in the market, and basically that's more convincing, right? But that works for new businesses or new markets. For businesses which are well established, let's say if you're selling, let's say a CRM, right? So you don't need to explain a customer what a CRM is, right? So in that case, paid works very well because you don't need any explanation, right? The cons of free marketing is that they're very limited volumes. You cannot scale it beyond a certain point, right? It is tougher to get good content over and over again. Then it is not targeted enough, so there are spillover issues which happen, right? And then the process is largely not as predictable, right? You cannot control where the people are coming from and so on and so forth. So that leaves a lot of space to grow, right? So the types of marketing generally, like this is a very general side which people usually learn in like by doing marketing for these big brands, right? So there are two types of marketing, like very basic, like one is awareness of brand building and the other is strategic or lead gen, right? So with awareness of brand building, the major metrics which are measured on how a campaign is building up is you see it by the number of impressions or the reach. Reach is the percentage of target audience reach, right? So let's say if your target audience is let's say 15 to 34 male, right? So your reach will be percentage of those target audience reach, right? Whereas impressions can be, let's say if you're talking about impressions can be for anybody and everybody, right? It's just a plain number. SECAB is again the decision group which is making the decisions online, right? GRP, CPRP is basically a TV metric. GRP is gross rating points and CPRP is cost per rating point. Is basically one rating point is 1% of your target audience, right? So this is how TV is measured. So I'm just talking about it to just give you a general idea of how things are compared in the marketing world, right? Some of you may be from marketing background, so some of you may not be, so that's why I decided to include this, right? So there are different mediums which are used for awareness brand building. TV, of course, right? Then there is radio, then there is out of home media where you see big banners and all that, and then you have online video, which is up and coming, and it is the fastest growing brand building medium which exists today, right? And Google has 90% share of this market. Then there is strategic or lead generation marketing, which is basically to generate leads and get leads for your business so that you can later on convert or you can directly acquire them, right? So the metrics which are measured here are CPA or cost per acquisition, right? Then there is the conversion volume. There can be mediums where you have low conversion volume. There can be mediums where you can have large conversion volumes. So depending on your business, like how much conversions you need to basically grow or meet your target. So it will depend, like your choice of the medium will depend on that, right? Then there is quality of leads. A lot of people miss out on quality of leads, right? So what is happening in the online space right now is there are various ad networks, right? Like you have Vizuri and you have Tyro and all these guys, right? So what they do is they promise you a certain number of leads, right? But they don't promise the quality of the leads. So they'll give you a lead at a certain point. So let's say I work with a lot with the auto clients, right? And they always come back to me saying that Google has performed a lot better for us because the quality of the leads is much higher. So in case of all these guys like Tyro and Vizuri and all these guys, they promise you certain leads. They say we give you 10,000 leads at 50 rupees, right? But the quality of the leads is like sorry to say shit, right? So that's why a lot of people prefer search marketing, because in search you have intent, and whenever you have intent, the quality of the lead will be always be higher, right? By logic. So the mediums used here, like worldwide, are search and print. Print is increasingly getting tougher and tougher, and second is that the print is much more expensive than like per lead than search marketing, right? People also use display when they exhaust search, so I will include that later on. So collecting leads online, and I'll go with the second part first, and I'll go into detail on what kind of projects are used and how an online conversion happens. Some of you may know that, but just for the sake of everybody, I'll be including that as well. Right. So I'll just talk briefly about the anatomy of an online conversion. Like what are the basic things like you should think an online conversion in the form of. Right. So there are impressions, there is clicks or site traffic or site visits, and there are signups or conversions, which is your final call to action. Right. So in terms of impressions, basically, if you need to increase your signups or conversions, you need to increase all three of them, right? So in case impression increases, clicks increase, then signups increase. So it's a cycle, right? So to increase the number of impressions, you need to increase your reach by having a broader targeting. In case you have reached your broader target, then the only way to increase is higher bids or budgets, right? But in case it is paying you back, so it doesn't matter if you're putting in more budgets, because you're getting more money in return, right? So that's the analogy, right? The second is how you can increase the number of clicks or the click-through rates, right? So you can increase the number of clicks by increasing the click-through rate, like how many people are seeing your ads versus how many people are clicking on it, right? So you can do it by making a very good or relevant ad copy. A lot of people do that when they're making their online campaigns, but they forget making a customized ad to a customized type of a keyword, right? So what they'll do typically is that, let's say if they have 10 different types of keywords, they will typically make one ad for all of them, because they're lazy. They don't want to make separate ad copies for different keywords. Let's say somebody searching for I want to buy a pizza online versus I want to buy Domino's pizza online. You should have different ad copies for different types of keywords. Only then you will have the best conversion rate. So a lot of people miss out on these points. We should keep in mind, right? The other way is that you can increase the number of site entry points per ad, right? So let's say you have one ad, so you can increase the site entry points per ad. How you can do that? By using site links. I'll also talk about site links briefly after this. But site links is the only way to increase the number of site entry points by per ad or per impression, right? The next is the how to increase the signups or the conversion rate. This basically is about conversion rate optimization or CRO, right? So this includes a lot of the things. Like some of the main things are like you should have a better landing page quality. By landing page quality, I mean that you should have good design, you should have social proof and all that on your free etc. on your landing page, so that maximum people landing on your page should convert, right? And then the next.
So they really can't space, right? There's two people sitting here. So if you could also sort of reiterate points, these guys can't see this, right?
They can probably come here if it's possible, because there's some space.
Yeah, why don't you just...
They can shift back.
We could probably have one more row here. Guys, could you just like pick up your chairs and
can increase it by changing the landing page quality, then increasing the site speed. For every increase in 1% site speed, you will get like multiple times increase in your conversions, because a lot of people face that problem. And reducing the bounce rates by being relevant. So you don't want to drive irrelevant traffic to your website, because then you are paying for them by having them come to your website, by clicking on your ad and all that, but they're not converting. So in a way you are paying more for them and they're not converting. So that's all wasted money, right? So those are the three pillars of an online conversion, right? So we talk about what products to use in order to achieve this lead gen or whatever goals target we have, right? So this is primarily from a Google perspective. Some of you some of you who have used AdWords would know a little bit about it, but for others I'll just go through a quick rerun of what these various products are, right? So there's Google search, right? Where you basically have a search query and you type in and you see ads, and then you click on it and you go on the website, right? Then there is site links, which I'll also give an example later on. Then there's RLS. RLS many of you would not have heard of. It is remarketing list for search ads. So typically we how marketing happened some time back was, like a few years back was, like they used to remarket people on display but not on search. But now this technology is there that you can remarket people on search as well, right? So I'll talk about how good this technology, and this is one of the best performing products Google has ever invented, right? Then there is PLA or product listing ads. People who are in the e-commerce business, this would be useful for you, right? So currently all e-commerce guys are using it. Then there is DSO or dynamic search ads. It is basically for people who want to increase site traffic and whose only goal is to have like the maximum traffic on your website, and they don't really have a conversion goal, right? So this product is tailor-made for these guys, right? Then there is Affinity or End Market. This is basically a recent project which has been launched by Google, and so what has happened in this project is that it is a type of targeting method on display, right? So what you do that, like you have, so Google has certain algorithms by which it figures out whether a certain person is in market or not. By in market we mean that that person is ready to buy a particular product or not, right? So I'll give you an example. So let's say you're selling education loans, right? Or you're selling, let's say, a degree, right? So you're a university and you're selling a degree, right? So we'll see that what is the search funnel of that particular user, right? So we'll know that, okay, this person was searching for degrees first, right? So then he was searching for universities, and now he's searching for, let's say, education loans. So we know that this person is trending towards being a student, right? Or he's looking to enter into college and so on and so forth. So you know that this person is in market, right? And then you can sell all the products which are relevant to a college person, right? So that's how this works. Similarly, affinity is basically a targeting method where we find out whether a particular person has affinity towards a certain type of product or not. Let's say you're selling auto parts, right? And you know that this guy is visits a lot of auto sites, and this guy goes to a lot of these auto videos and all that, right? So we know the search behavior. So we know that, okay, this guy has an affinity towards a certain type of a product. So let's say in this case auto, right? The next is call extensions. This is also increasingly important because, like the slides I showed you about mobile, right? So mobile is growing like anything. Mobile has arrived in India, right? So we need to be present there at all times. And call extensions is one of the best ways to be present at mobile, because nobody likes to fill up forms on mobile. Calls is pretty much easy, right? But I know that for everybody it won't be possible to have a call center and have like 100 people calling you every day. But then it is for those people who have a call center, and let's say, or they can take up calls, right? So for example, customer support guys.
I didn't understand what do you mean by call extension?
So I'll just talk about all these products later, right? So you'll see an example. Then there is location extension. Some of you may have heard about it. So location extension is basically, let's say if you want to, let's say if a person is in your vicinity, let's say you are a Pizza Hut, right? And there's a person in the vicinity searching for pizzas, right? So you can show that person the right map to guiding him to your store, right? So that just makes it easier for him to basically come to your store, like you're just increasing a conversion rate. So these are the products which you use for lead generation. I'll just talk briefly about so I'll first talk about how search works, right? And very briefly how you should structure a campaign. So this is going a little bit technical because I was asked that this doc should have a little bit of stuff that people didn't take away with, right? So I'll be talking about how the three pillars of search work, right? So this is how we typically run our campaigns in Google whenever we are advising any company or any person, like how to structure campaigns. So this is how we say. So you should always structure campaigns in brand, category, and competition, right? So what do I mean by that? So let's say there is Domino's Pizza, right? I'll take their example. They're my client. They're one of my favorite clients, right? So with Domino's, let's say anybody searching for all the keywords which are related to Domino's, right? So the keyword should have Domino's in the name, right? So buy Domino's online, Domino's Pizza, right? Or calzones, whichever their brand keywords are, right? So I'll call them the brand keywords. So this is a bucket of keywords which I'll keep separate and make a separate campaign for all these brand keywords. And I know that because a person is searching specifically for me, he's most likely to convert and convert at a very low rate, right? So let's say because the conversion rate would be much higher, CTR would be much higher because he's searching for me, right? So I know that he's coming to me. I should just make it easier for him to come to me. That is my only goal by having this campaign, right? But the thing is with brand keywords that you have low volumes because let's say the volumes of only Domino's would be very low, right? In millions of queries, right? But the conversion rate will be very high, right? So you would get a lot of conversions, so the conversion will be good. So you'll get like 2% to 10% of people who are landing on your website, converting and actually buying a pizza, right? So that is what we see, right? The next is the category keywords. So category keywords are all the generic keywords which you have in the universe of Google search queries, right? So let's say if somebody is saying for buy pizzas online, right? I want to buy pizza, right? Or pizzas in Rohini, or pizzas in Gurgaon, right? Whatever. So all these are category keywords, which are all like generic keywords, right? So here is a person who's searching for pizzas, and you have an opportunity to convert him into buying your pizza rather than somebody else's pizza, right? So that is the whole purpose of having category keywords in your campaigns, right? So they have very high volumes because people search for generic volumes much higher than the brand volumes, right? And then the conversion rate is a little bit lower because that person is specifically not searching for you. So not a lot of them will convert, but still there is a good opportunity that will convert. So you get the maximum volume of conversions from your category keywords, right? Because the volumes here are very high, right? So there are pros and cons of all the approaches, right? Then the third is the competition keyword, right? So this is a little bit controversial, and some people do that, some people don't, right? So do that only after you have exhausted brand and category keywords, right? So by competition, let's say if somebody is searching for Pizza Hut, I would show him my ad, right? But then my ad, it will be expensive to show my ad to him because that person is not looking for me, so the click-through rate will be low. And I will talk about how the ads are priced, sort of, right? So it will be more expensive to convert that guy, right? Because the conversion rate will be low. So you'll be paying more to convert him, but then this is an additional volume which you're getting, which you won't get otherwise, right? So everybody in the industry is doing that because they want additional volume.
By volumes, what is it that we exactly mean?
By volumes, impressions.
Impressions.
Yeah. So for every search query, you have certain impressions, right? So this is the total impressions I'm talking about.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
This first option, brand option, is not suitable for SMEs.
Sorry?
Sir, for SMEs.
Yeah, that's why I know. Definitely, because the brand is not there. That's why I'm talking about. First is you should build a brand. Second is you should focus on category keywords if you don't have brand volumes. So that goes without saying. If you don't have brand keywords, you have no other option but to build on category keywords, right? So that's a very valid point. Okay, so this is how the ad rank is, right? So I don't know if a lot of people know that, but the top results get 10x the more volume than the site results, right? So it makes sense to be as high up as possible in the search results because nobody looks at the 11th result. People look at the first 2 or 3 results, right? So it makes sense to be there, right? And how an ad is ranked, it is ranked on a real-time basis, right? So there are 2 metrics. So it is directly proportional to the quality score of the ad. I'll talk about what that is, right? And the max CPC. Max CPC is the cost per click, right? How much are you willing to bid per ad, right? So that is like it's an auction basis, as you might know, right? So for every ad, you're bidding against every keyword, right? So let's say if there is a keyword, let's say buy pizza online, right? So Pizza Hut will be bidding on it, Papa John's will be bidding on it, Domino's will be bidding on it. So there are several other people who are bidding on that single keyword, right? And at that particular moment, let's say when I search buy pizza online, so there will be a real-time auction which will happen, right? And it will take into account all the bids of all the people, and then it will show an ad whoever wins that bid, right? Or if everybody wins the bid, so it will rank them according to the ad rank, right? So that will depend on the quality score and the max CPC, right? So by quality score, basically quality score is a certain metric by which we categorize all the ads, right? So we say a certain ad is a good quality or a bad quality basis on the quality score, right? A quality score basically consists of a lot of things. Like basically you have a good CTR, right? So we'll say, okay, this ad must be relevant to this query. That's why this ad should have a higher quality score, right? If the ad is relevant, right? So if let's say if So Facebook, right? So Facebook is a classic example. A lot of people search for Facebook on Google, right? But people are not looking to buy anything else, right? People are only willing to go to Facebook.com, right? So if you say that, okay, because Facebook has a lot of search queries, I will bid on Facebook, right? But it's not a good idea, because the click-through rate will be very low on your ad. People won't click on your ad, even though your ad will be appearing a lot of times, and then you will just keep paying more and more for your ad, right? So your ad should be relevant. The third point is your landing page quality or LTV, right? So landing page quality, like I discussed, like the page should be converting, the bounce rate should be low and all that, right? So basically the conversion rate. And ad rank, like so better position is equal to better CTRs, and in top slots, like the first three positions, like which we call the top slots, so it is 5 to 10x CTRs of your site impressions. So it makes sense to be present on top. So the CPAs are lower and everything is good there, right? So but it's not always possible. So but we should always try to be there, right? Okay, so now I'll talk about all the various projects which I briefly mentioned there. So starting with site links, right? So site links, you must have seen whenever you search for it, or even in the organic result, you see all these small links which come there, right? So these are site links, right? So these site links, the purpose they serve is that they'll, let's say if a person is searching for contact information about a certain company, right? So let's say if a person is searching for Amsort Business Center, and they only want the phone number, they want to call the reception, right? So the thing this will help with them is that they can directly click on contact us and they can directly land there, instead of wasting clicks by going to the homepage first and then finding out the contact us page and then going there, right? So it makes sense to have site links there, right? So it's very important in your ads also, right? So in organic results, you don't have control over site links, but in organic or in paid marketing, right? So you can't control these things, right? So you can directly, so let's say if you're selling 3 products, right? Let's say, again, I'll take an example of Domino's, right? So let's say Domino's is selling pizzas and it's selling calzones and all these cheese bursts and everything, all these different pizzas, right? So they can now direct their people to all these different products, right? Let's say if somebody's searching for Domino's and he's instead looking to buy garlic bread instead of pizzas, right? So they can directly go there and buy it. Right. So then you're also reducing the spillover, you're increasing efficiency, and all the meanwhile you're increasing your overall CTR of the ad, because you're getting more relevant clicks, right? And this also helps person navigate your site faster and better conversion rates, right? This is another example, right? So where you see these ads and all that, and people can basically drive them to the right destination. So you can also have the right messaging for people and
Usually these site links are available in the search as well.
Yeah.
If you have
so in the organic results, yes.
So you're talking about now these site links are available in the ads as well?
Yeah. So they are primarily made for ads product, right? So in organic results, we do that to improve the user experience, right? But you cannot really control it. But in paid results, you can control it.
They cost more?
No, they don't cost more. So the cost per click remains the same, right? So that is on an auction basis. So that doesn't change. So everything is the same price. It's very open, right? This is product listing ads, like if there are any e-commerce startups or if anybody is selling products online, right? So this should help you, right? So this is basically how your ads will appear once you have product listing ads. So even if you go, you search on your mobiles right now about buy Samsung, right? So you should see these ads, or if you search on desktop, I don't know if they're enabled on mobile anymore. Yeah. So recently, so all e-commerce guys are on this thing, right now, and all these big guys. So you can basically, so this basically happens through Google Merchant Center, and basically you need to set up an account there. It's pretty easy, right? So then you can run your ads there. So a person, if he's searching for your product, so again, so this is reducing the click volume, right, and directly guiding the person to the right product on the right merchant, right? So let's say if you're searching for this thing, right, whatever this is, I don't know what this is. Right, so if somebody is searching to buy this thing from Target, right? So that person can go there and buy it from Target right away, instead of searching for 10 different merchants and navigating through their website and wasting time basically. So that just improves the click-through rate, right? So this was the second one. The third is social extensions. I did not mention it there. I forgot because I made this presentation already. So basically, what social extension is that basically you can add your Google Plus page to your ad, right? And it basically helps to build a subscriber base. So let's say if you have an inbound campaign running, right? So Ankit will talk more about it. So let's say if you have an inbound campaign running, so this just helps to build up your subscriber base, right? So you can distribute your content faster and do the right thing, so you don't waste time. And this basically helps with a social proof. If people, if you have read about conversion rate optimization, social proof or the proof of people using your product is one of the strongest proofs of of helping people decide to buy your product, right? So if let's say if there is if here it's written like 15,075 people plus one this, right, and then versus there is written 10 people plus one this or nobody plus one this, you will click on this ad more than the other ad, right? So in case you don't have any knowledge about the two products, right? In case it's something else, so then
So you can't have Facebook likes and
no, you cannot. Unfortunately, we only sell Google Plus. Right, so then there are dynamic search ads. So like I talked about dynamic search ads, they are basically tailored to bring more traffic to your website, right? So this is for all the long tail keywords, right? So whenever you're making your campaigns, it is not possible to predict all the keywords which people might be searching for, right? So it is obvious, right? So you will never have the long tail list of keywords with you. So dynamic search ads comes in to solve that particular problem, right? So typically the websites which have like thousands of pages, right? You cannot predict like what kind of keywords each of your page has, right? So what this will do is it will you will just add 2 lines. So there is an ad template which is written by you, and you will just add 2 lines about your business. The headline will be generated from the content, right? So that it improves the click-through rate on your particular page. So it will direct the user to the particular page on that website, right? And you can meanwhile you can like just it makes a whole lot easier to manage your campaign. Let's say there is so I enabled this for Renault. Renault is one of our clients, and they had 7 different cars, right? And they wanted to just quickly set up a campaign, right? So I thought this is the best product to quickly set up a campaign, because let's say we have 7 different cars and there is Fluence written on one, Duster written on another, Pulse written on the third, right? So you don't have to set up 7 different campaigns. You can just set up one campaign. It will drive traffic to the relevant car page, right? So that really helps. Then there is remarketing list for search ads, or RLSA or RSA, whatever, right? So this is one of the most important projects which you need to get the best CPA possible, right? So people are getting CPAs as low as 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees. I'll take an example of Ankit's company, Innovus, and they're doing very well with RLSA, right? So basically what RLSA means that, let's just forget these slides. I'll just talk very briefly about how RLSA works, right? So basically you take up a code, right? You generate a code from your Google AdWords account and you place it on the website, right? And what happens then is, let's say anybody who is visiting your website, a cookie is dropped on their computers, right? And that person basically is added in the list of people who have visited your website, right? So you have a remarketing list in your account, which is all the people who have ever visited your website, right? So we know that these people are interested in your product, or at least they have visited your website, right? So there's a certain amount of chance that these people might convert if they haven't converted already, right? So what you do is you basically take that list and you remarket your ad to these people, right? Or you remarket them to you remarket them with a better bid, right? So what do I mean by that is that, let's say you have your AdWords campaign running, right? And you have a remarketing list in your campaign. So there is one campaign which is like generally somebody searching for, again I'll take an example of Domino's. So let's say somebody is searching for buy pizza online, right? And then there is another person who's also searching for buy pizza online, but he is on my remarketing list because I'm Domino's and he is on my remarketing list, right? So I know that this guy has visited Domino's in the past, so let me show my ad on a higher priority to him, right? So I'll say that, okay, I'm willing to bid more for this guy because this guy has previously bought from me. So there is a much higher probability of that guy converting with me, right? Especially in the pizza industry, like I don't know, 70% of the repeat purchases happen from the 70% of the purchases happen from the repeat customers, right? So it makes all the more sense. And you know that once a customer has bought from you, he's more likely to buy from you again, right? If you have provided good experience for him. So that's what remarketing for search ads is, right? So you can do remarketing on display also. Like you must have seen that you must have noticed this thing very often. Like this happens a lot nowadays. Like whenever you have visited a website, so their ad will follow you everywhere through the internet. So wherever you go, you will see their ad again and again, right? So that is remarketing. So that used to happen on display. Now it has happened on search also. You can see their ads now on the search also. So we chase you down wherever you are. That's
the bids for this particular product, remarketing, are they higher or are they lower for the first than the first?
So okay, you need to understand this concept. So bidding is what you're willing to pay for that customer, right? So let's say you're normally let's say your keyword is buy pizzas online, right? So you're bidding, let's say 15 rupees for that keyword. Like that's the maximum I'm willing to bid for that guy, right? So you can say that, okay, if this guy is on my remarketing list, I'll bid, let's say 25 rupees for that guy because he'll convert better for me, right? His actual conversion or the CPC might come out to be way lower. It can be 7 rupees or 5 rupees or 3 rupees, right? But you're bidding that much, right? So that you want to undermine all the competition which is there, and you want to basically win the bid, right? So the lowest highest bid wins. So that's how the complex. I can go on in detail later.
So Anirudh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, showing us now. I was just going to ask as to how you activate this feature.
So basically, you just take up a code right from Google AdWords, right? I can go in detail, but I don't know if you have time for it, right? So basically, you just take up a code, so you can generate a code from your Google AdWords account, right? So there's an audience tab there, so you can generate that code. You can place that code on your website HTML, right? The page you want, which you want to target people for, right? And that's it, right? So that's what you do. And then onwards, like your account will start accumulating cookies over and over and over again. Like, so let's say if 1,000 people have visited your website, 1,000 people will get added to your remarketing list, right? So that's how it will work. And then you can target these users through AdWords itself. So let's say if you're running another ad campaign, you want to target your ad only to these people, then you can do that. Like previously you weren't able to do that, but now you can do that.
So can we use analytics to figure out as to what search queries these people have also
Yeah,
used?
sure.
So what search queries, what are the exact keyword and everything, and the site activity as well. What
So
pages
from
they
analytics
have.
you can know everything. So that's there. Yeah. But you won't need it actually. So that's the idea. Like you don't need analytics to do this part. So this has been made easy, especially for people who don't want to get into analytics and all that stuff.
My point
So
is,
that just makes it really easy for people to remark to people who have already been through my website.
Candidates, so let's assume that person A has come to my website, but has probably just come to the landing page and spent
Yeah,
maybe
that
30
doesn't
seconds on the
matter.
landing page.
So there are two things, right? So you can there can be times where you only want people from your landing page, right? And there can be times where you want people who have visited any page of your website, right? So let's say if you're selling 3 products, you wouldn't want your product A list to mix with your product B list, right? Because you don't want that. You don't want to sell to the wrong person. So in that case, you can have separate tags or separate codes for different people.
Right.
Or different pages of your website, depending on how you segment the traffic. There is another level to this, so which is Google Analytics remarketing, where you can target people basis their user behavior. So that's really complex to go in this stage.
There's one thing I would like to add here. So, as 10,000 startups, when we were inviting applications, right, we did a heavy Google AdWords campaign and a remarketing campaign as well. How it worked was that there were 3 phases of the entire process. One was somebody just coming to the homepage of my website because there are a lot of PR involved, right? So a lot of people who may not have anything to do with startup would still come, right? 2 would be people who would explore information about the program, right? So they would go to the program page and they'd fill in the form. They take the initiative to fill in the form and they'll get started. But because the forms are long, so they'll take a while to fill it up, right? Some people would even save it in draft and fill it later. So what we did was, we only targeted people who got started on the form, and we gave them the communication that, last date is just 7 weeks to go and whatever. Okay? And the guys who had already filled out the form, we did not target them again so that they don't get bothered, right? So we removed them from the retargeting list. And the guys who were just sort of exploring, right? We gave them a different message. So what you could also do, you could build offers, especially for people who've shown some greater deal of interest, and target them on
That's another benefit of remarketing. Let's say if a person has already visited your site before, you typically would want to show them a different messaging the next time. You don't want to show them the same messaging all the time. So you have an option to show them a different messaging. Let's say if they have already bought from your site before, you can say in your ad copy that, see, you have bought from us before, we hope it has been a great experience, why don't you try again, right? So basically it's about increasing your click-through rate on your ads. So you can do that by increasing relevancy through remarketing, right? So this just explains, so there's a pixel which is placed on your site, and then there is audience list of visitors which is
can I ask a question over here?
you are already asking.
So in the remarketing, there are 2 things. One is when you are adding up increasing the bid, and secondly, when you are what you are saying is you're completely removing your ad.
No, you're not doing.
So I've already filled up.
So there is an option to do both, right? So you can show the same ad also. So let's say in case of pizzas, right? I just love pizzas. So in case of pizzas also, so because there is no separate offering, you can show to that person, right? You're just selling pizza, right? What more you can do? So in that case, you have to show the same ad to that person, right? But in case of something else, let's say if it's a paid subscription service, right? So you can probably have a different messaging altogether, saying that okay, you bought from us, and probably would you want to buy from us again, something like that. I don't know. Like so, the idea is to you can have separate messaging for these things.
And even you can remove the advertisement part.
Yeah. So that's
every web page, right? So when you're, so like he said, right, there's a code which you need to enter in the code of the page, right? So you can have different codes for different pages. And when you target, right, in your dashboard, there'll be a remarketing section. So there you can even have different messages for different codes. So that's how it works.
So like you can have one.
Tracking, does all of it work on the basis of cookies?
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. So once you remove your cookies, you clear your cache, you're gone from.
This is done dynamically.
Sorry?
Because I have experienced that I searched a particular book on Sniping.
Yeah,
so
actually,
every time I got the same.
That's a very good question. So actually, there's another product called dynamic remarketing.
How?
Where you don't need to place a cookie, don't need to place an ad on your website. So people get dynamically remarketed, and the ad is also generated on the fly for that person, right? But that is more suitable for people who are selling, who are, let's say, in the e-commerce business, because e-commerce is a very tough business to market online, right? Because there is so much ad going on and there is so much mess which is happening online, right? So it makes more sense for e-commerce guys. So in case you're in e-commerce space, that should be.
We're just talking about Google as a network. Let's say I'm running an ad on Facebook.
Yeah.
The CPC on Facebook is lower, and then I'm remarketing to that list on Google. You know, so
You cannot.
No, through any other third party tool like
You
AdRoll
cannot. So basically, you can only use that list when you are doing your ads with Google.
You're not understanding my question. There is, let's say, another network, non-Google. Okay. The CPC for keywords in that is lower than what the CPCs are on Google. Okay. Now I have run ads on those other networks.
Okay.
I'm using a third party, let's say, retargeting tool.
Okay.
Let's say AdRoll or XYZ, right? You know, and can I then use and target Google audience if that same person is coming on Google?
Sure.
My ad,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. So internet is pretty open. That
Yeah.
you can
So I
target
was going to ask you, now that you understood my question, is do you have any case studies on what sort of industry segments it works well in?
So it works well in all the industries.
Any
That's
particular for the Indian context?
All industries. So this is based on user behavior, right? So person who has, so let's say there are 100 people, right? So there is group A of 100 people, there is group B of 100 people. Group A has visited a website, group B hasn't visited a website, and then you're trying to sell your product to group A, and then you're trying to sell your product to group B. So group A, let's say 10 people will buy, group B 5 people will buy. Why? Because group A is already known about it. So there is a higher propensity of them converting on better for it, right? So that's a simple way how we look at it. So this is another thing. You can have different messaging, which I've already covered. Then you can have different bits for different lists. Then you can have different creatives. You can use different keywords and all sorts of things. Okay, so now like we talked about how mobile is such a big thing today, right? So Google offers a lot of solutions for the mobile segment also, right? So this is not just Google. A lot of people are doing that, but we just do it better, right? So the thing is that like with Google, you see that you can have ads and search, you can have ads and apps because we control Android, right? So we have a lot of cloud over there, right? Then you can have ads and sites. So we run the biggest mobile display network in the world and in India, right? And then there are ads and video, right? So mobile video destination, everybody knows it's YouTube, right? So you can show your ads there as well. Then you have mobile targeting capabilities, which are the same as you have in desktop or in smartphones, right? So you can target basis the device. Let's say if you're selling an app which is only for Android, you can do that with mobile targeting capabilities on mobile, right? So you can have your content specifically. Let's say if you want to target people who are only browsing sports content online or auto content online, you can do that, right? You can do it all the ways of demographic or psychographics, then location, of course, right? Location extensions, and there is keyword targeting, right? And then there is remarketing. Like the same remarketing which is on search, you can do that on mobile. So you can in fact create a separate list for mobile users. Like people who have visited your websites from mobile, right? So you can have a separate list for these guys, and then you can show them a separate ad for these guys, right? So that's also
is there an integration between the keywords that are, my campaign on desktop and my campaign on mobile or my campaign on say tablet? Is there an integration between?
Yeah, definitely. So this problem was faced a lot like 3 months back, right? So Google recently launched a project called Enhanced Campaigns, right? So typically you had to make separate campaigns for mobile and desktop and tablets and all that, right? So now you can do that in the same campaign by just changing the bits, right? So you can have different, so you have your same campaign and you are just changing your bits for mobile. Let's say you say that mobile consumer is more valuable to me than a desktop consumer. So you can bid more only for mobile while keeping the same campaign and the same keywords, right? And the whole structure being same. So let's say then you can do it on the basis of location. Let's say you say a person coming from Delhi is more valuable to me than a person coming from Mumbai, right? So you can bid more for a person coming from Delhi. And the same is the case with device. So you can have all these targeting capabilities in a single campaign. So which is like now much easier than it was before. Then there is location extension. Gentleman asked me a question about location extension. This is how location extension looks. Basically, let's say so this is an example of wonderful Italian food. Let's say Luigi Italian. You can directly see the ad and you can click on the map. It will show you where the nearest store is, right? So that just makes it easier for a person who's searching. So that's good user experience. Then there is airport targeting. You just cannot do that with inbound marketing, right? A person on airport. So that you can do that with Google. Because people have this habit of checking in on airports, right? And even if not, so then we know if the GPS is on. Let's say if they're using any location services, so we know that that person is there. So we can target that person specifically on the airport, right? So let's say if we have a project which is specifically focused on let's say related to airline or airports, right? So that makes a good choice.
So similar to airport, do you have any other similar zonal targeting features?
Yeah. So there is radius targeting. Then there is zip code targeting. So using all these, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean those are the normal ones. But I mean, why did you choose airports, for instance?
No. So this is just an example, right? So I'm not typically choosing. So I'm not specifically choosing that. It's just an example to show that you can target people as specific as on an airport. Right? So you can say that okay, I want to target only people on San Francisco airport. So you can do that. So that is the whole idea. The spillover is the least, the efficiency is the highest. That is the main message I'm trying to get across. The purpose of this would not be to teach you about all the products. That would not be possible, right? So the best thing we can take away from this presentation is to understand how online marketing works, and there are certain myths around free or paid marketing, right? So a lot of people don't go for it because they think that it will be expensive and all that, and they think that okay, we won't go for it, let's go for free first and all, and so on and so forth, right? So that's just so I'm just here to dispel some of the myths of what you can do online, what is the power of doing marketing online, and what all is possible, right? So because people think that like with startups they don't have money and all that, and they're always looking for how to reach their customers in the cheapest way possible, right? So that just helps you to tell that with free also you're spending your time, right? So you better will spend 10,000 rupees on AdWords and get 200 valid leads than spending 10,000 rupees on, let's say, getting a writer to write like 5 blog posts for it, right? So that's just the idea. Similar way you can convert people.
Are site locations dynamic?
Site locations?
Location extensions basically. Can they be put up in a dynamic sense?
Yeah, sure. So you can say that okay, I want to target my person in this state when he's searching for this thing. So you can say that, and then you can show him the exact thing. So you can even say that, let's say if somebody is searching for buy Pepsi online, right? So again, I'll take an example of Domino's. So the thing is that, let's say if Domino's doesn't sell Pepsi primarily, but they also sell Pepsi, right? So let's say somebody is searching for Pepsi, you better direct that person to Domino's store because they can buy Pepsi there also. That makes sense. In a similar way, you can have all the mobile conversion strategies, like you can have site links, you can have product listing on mobile, they can have like you can subscribe people right from your cell phone. Then there is this app targeting. Let's say if you're selling products which are specifically made for apps, right? Or if you're selling another app which is a similar app, let's say if you're selling an app which is similar to a particular app, and you want to show your ads only on that particular app, you can do that, right? So let's say if you're making another Angry Birds and you want to target your ads on Angry Birds in case they're showing ads, right? So then you can show your ads, right? So that is another. So let's say this just takes an examples of C-level executives, right? This slide. So let's say if C-level executives, let's say, use one app over the other, right? So let's say I'll take an example of Evernote, right? So a lot of C-level executives are using Evernote. So you want to show your ad only to C-level executives. So you can do that by doing in-app targeting through AdMob, right? So that's another benefit of being present on Google. Then this is click to call, like which I have briefly discussed. So what click to call is basically, let's say if you're searching for some ad, right, and you want to direct, because people don't want to fill up forms on the cell phone, right? Nobody wants to do that. So even if you have like as big as trainers, so you cannot do that, right? Or if you're busy and all that. So typically you would want to call them. Again, I'll take an example of Domino's. Because so let's say you want to buy pizza, right? You would not typically want to fill up that pizza thing online, right? And you wouldn't want to pay it online because that's cumbersome, right? You in fact you can call them. So you can see the last image, right? So it has a small call button on the right. Is it visible? Yeah. So you can directly click on that call button. It doesn't directly patch you to the call center. Why? Because you want to reduce the number of negative positives. False negatives, right? So because what happens, right? Let's say a lot of people can click this call button by mistake, right? So you want to avoid all those guys because you don't want to pay for these guys, right? So what you do is, so after you click on the call button, so your number will get populated in the cell phone screen. Then you can click on the call button, then the call will be patched, right? So that's how it works. Yeah, this is again click to call, right? So this is taking another example. So you can have it in the app also. This is for people who are selling apps here, right, or who are running app companies. So you can directly have app download. You can run an app download campaign from your AdWords campaign, which, by the way, you cannot do that from free market. Right. So you can have digital campaigns where you can drive app download specifically, and you can target the carrier, you can target the particular device of the model or the make of the model also. Let's say if you want to say I only want to sell my apps to people who run who have a Sony Xperia, right? So you can do that. You can target it by the OS also, and by the location also, and all sorts of things, right? So that is the main thing which can drive your app downloads rather than going for a spray and pray approach. So as you can see an ad there, right? So Hotels.com is trying to sell their app on this. I don't know what this is. I think this is a video. So they're trying to sell an app to somebody who's watching that video, right? Or let's say you can see above, right? So there is a Get Shopper app, right? So if somebody is searching for HD TVs, so they're trying to sell them in their app also because let's say if you have a native app in your cell phone, the experience goes like 10 times higher, right? So you take an example of ClearTrip, right? So if people who have used ClearTrip mobile app, you would know what I'm talking about. Like their user experience on cell phone is really good, right? So you wouldn't want to go any other way than go on the app, right? Because that's way easier. So people do that also. This is mobile retargeting. Works exactly the same way as desktop remarketing, but you have an additional option that you can target to people only from mobile, right? And you can have people who have visited a certain website and all that. So that all types of targeting is available. You can target them based on the click, or you can target them based on the app. Like people who have downloaded my app, I only want to target to those people, right? So let's say people who are releasing multiple apps in line, so that really helps them. Or if they're releasing related apps, so that really helps them to drive additional offers. So this was about lead generation. I think the talk has exceeded the time limit, but I'll briefly talk about building a brand online, like how important is it, and basically like somebody just asked me like if you don't have brand queries, how are you going to capitalize on it, right? So it makes sense to build a brand also in the space, and people think that building a brand means that they have to be present online, and they have to be present on television and show those big ads on television to be present right up there. So that's not true, right? So because online video is coming up in a big way, right? And as I'll show you in the next slide, YouTube is the 5th largest channel in India, right? So if you compare it by the number of online views and online visitors, right? So you don't want to target to people who watch Colors TV, right? They're not your target audience. They don't really buy software products online, right? So they can probably buy, they can be good for, let's say, a sort of like a Myntra or a Flipkart, right? But not for people who are selling tech products online, right? So you can do that with YouTube. You can build your brand only with people who are searching for tech products, or who are interested in tech channels, or who are subscribed to tech channels on YouTube, right? So and the thing is that, like, building a brand is not at all expensive, as we will see in the coming slides. Okay, so which are the products which we use? So primarily the products used for brand building online are video, YouTube, right? Then there are banner ads, and then there is remarketing, right? Remarketing is present everywhere. Right? Okay. So this is for display banners, right? How well you can target that. So we have already discussed that, so I won't go deep into this. So you can target it basis. So there are two types of targeting. One is the demographic targeting, and one is the content targeting. So you can target your ad to people basis the content they're reading, or basis the type of person they are, right? So you have these two options, right? And then you can then just further divide it into all these things. So let's say keywords. You have certain keywords. Let's say if somebody wants to read about CRM software, right? So you can only show your ads to those people who are reading about CRM software only, right? And if you want to show them basis the interest category, let's say if there's interest on certain type of a product, or geography, or placements. By placements I mean a certain website. Let's say if you want to show your ads only on certain websites. Let's say you know that Overdrive magazine, which is an auto magazine, has worked very well for you, right? So you only want to show your ads on Overdrive website, right, and not on any other. Then there is topics and the review, right? So this is just the right slide. I've already covered this. This is placement targeting. You can show your ads on certain. Let's say you want to show your ads on Forbes, like, because you know that, okay, Forbes is read by all the business savvy people, right? So you want to show your ads on Forbes, so you can do that, right? And so this is an easy way to appear on Forbes, rather than convincing a Forbes journalist to write an article for you, right? See how easy that is, right? And you can do that same on, let's say, any other website or any other type of website you want to sell. If you're selling cookwares, you can sell it on all these recipe websites or DLC and all these things, right? Then there is topic targeting. Let's say if a person, you want to target people who are interested in a certain topic, you can do that. Let's say if a person is interested in enterprise technology, or in networking, or in data management. Then there is keyword contextual. Keyword contextual, like I said, you can add keywords into your account, and you can say that I want to target my content only to people who are searching for these content, or who are reading content which is related to these keywords, right? So I'm talking about all the display ads and not on search, right? So in display ads you have banners like you see there. This is interest category. Okay, this is remarketing. The same way which we discussed for search, it applies exactly the same way in display. So like many of you must have seen all these ads chasing you all the way down to the last website you go. Again, remarketing. This is YouTube, right? So YouTube, so this is just a basic slide of how the stats on YouTube look like, right? It is the fastest growing global video destination and the second biggest search engine after Google, right? And a lot of people, and the video is becoming big, like everybody is on YouTube these days, right? So you have custom channels coming up, and you have all types of content on YouTube, right? So now you have an option to build a brand on YouTube, right? Because like so far, these small business advertisers, they did not have an option to be on television, right? So how will they build their brand, right? The only option they have to build their brand is to, let's say, be present on outside like OOH media, right? So they can have these big banners placed outside, or they can they can go to these events, industry events, and give their pamphlets out and all that. They cannot show a video about their business, right? And a lot of times a video explains things which a text ad cannot do, right? So that really helps, right? So as you can see, like YouTube in 2014 will be the 5th biggest channel in India, right? It is already being getting there, right? And by the number of unique viewers, right? So it's apart from that, like whenever you're building a brand on YouTube, like there are certain types of products you would go for, right? And I know a lot of you must be having this question, like how much does it cost, and where will we get the video inventory from, and so on and so forth, right? So I'll just answer those questions briefly, right? So first I'll talk about how where you can target YouTube and your ads, right? So you must have seen all these in-stream ads. By in-stream I mean that like before your video starts there is an ad which plays, right? And even there are two types of ads. One is the skippable format and one is the non-skippable format, right? So both are in-stream ads, and this is the most popular format on YouTube. I won't go into much detail about the other format, but as you can see, like there is display format which is like a banner alongside your videos. Then there is in-search ads. Let's say if somebody is searching for a particular thing, you can show your ads in the video search results, right? And then there is in-slate ads, like whenever your video is over, then you can show 3 tabs there and people can click whichever they want to see, right? But the most popular thing is in-stream, and that's what most of the people use to build their brand on video on YouTube, right? So in-stream, what happens that it is, so there are 2 ways to buy in-stream, right? So one is the reservation format and the other is the auction format, right? Auction as in search, right? So it is based on a bidding thing, right? So let's say if there is a video, right? So everybody is, so there are multiple advertisers who are bidding for that video, right? And you typically, so like in case of auctions, right? So there will be biddings, like, so people will bid 15 rupees, 10 rupees per video or per view, right? And then the user, let's say in case it's a skippable ad, so you won't be charged unless the person sees your full ad, right? So that's one of the biggest benefits of advertising on YouTube, right? So you are not paying unless and until the person watches the full ad. Let's say if a person skips your ad, you're not paying anything, right? So that's just free of cost. And let's say because the option to skip comes after 5 seconds, let's say after 5 seconds, right? And let's say you have your brand messaging in those first 5 seconds. So that is all free marketing for you. So that's one of the biggest benefits of using YouTube, right?
And what if somebody doesn't skip within the first 5 seconds, continues to, let's say it's a 30-second ad, somebody continues to watch till 20 seconds but then abandons it, then
you don't
get charged.
You don't.
Only when it's still
you complete the ad, right? Or so let's say if the ad is more than 30 seconds, so let's say if it's a 40-second ad, so then you get charged after the 30 seconds. So 30 seconds is the sweet spot. Yeah. So below 30 seconds you don't get charged. Even if he clicks on 29 seconds, you don't pay for it.
Are there advertising companies building content specifically for display on YouTube? Or the same companies that do main digital advertising?
Yeah, a lot of companies. You must be seeing there's a company by the name of the Viral Fever, started by IIT Kharagpur guys, right? So they are building content only for you.
Exclusively advertising content exclusively for you.
It's not advertising content. So yeah, so okay, so that brings me to another point, right? So where your ads are being shown, right? So a lot of people. So let's say what happened was like recently, we were running an ad campaign for Tata Nano, right? And their ad was showing on some, I think, some music videos, right? And they weren't really happy about it, right? So the CMO of Tata Motors, they wrote a mail to us saying that we are not very happy that our ad is appearing on these videos and we don't want our ad to appear there, right? We want our ad to appear on let's say some different content, right? So we said that okay. We will only, so we explained the whole process to him, right? So how this works, right? So basically, your ads only shown on publisher content, right? So there are publishers who set up this agreement with Google, and they say that okay, I want to show my ads on Google, right? So the TrueView ads are only shown to those guys, right? So your ad would not be shown on any random content, any user generated content. So you have to be a publisher with Google for your ad to show.
And Google pays someone on to those.
Of course.
So what happens when it's a non-skippable ad? Say,
so non-skippable format is a different format. It is done through reservations, right? So like you must have seen all these. Like how Times of India works is that they have their mastheads, right? So the mastheads are book and reservation. So you will typically have a one-on-one deal, right? So the advertiser will go to the publisher and will say, okay, I'm willing to pay X amount of money to buy that masthead for you, right? So that's not an auction basis. So that's like you buy a certain inventory beforehand, and the inventory is fixed for you. Right? In case of TrueView, the inventory is not fixed. So we typically see view rates of 25%. Like every 10 people watching that, so every 100 people seeing the impression, 25% of them will watch your ad. Right? So that is the completion rate which you see in the YouTube industry. And how cheap is that? So people are generating views for as low as 50 paisa, right? As low as 25 paisa. Right, and in majority of the cases we see that let's say if your ad is, it matters on how much targeted your ad is, right? So if your ad is a lot targeted, you have like 2 or 3 levels of targeting, you will see a CPV or cost per view of let's say 5 rupees, 6 rupees. So that's very cheap, right? So a movie ticket costs 250 rupees, so you can get 50 views of your targeted audience in that amount. in which you watch a movie, right? So why not do that? Sorry? No. So, yeah, movie tickets, 250. Yeah. Yeah. So this is how the in-game format is.
Can you give examples of some publishers in India, Bollywood content, which are doing well as a publisher on YouTube?
Yeah, TV.
TV?
viral
Okay. Apart from that,
Apart from that, I don't have Bollywood content, but Overdrive, etc. These guys are doing well. So there is another team which handles all that. So I don't really look into that content. Like, so there is a YouTube partnerships team, and if you want, I can get your questions answered. But I don't really have like. Can also be used in retargeting. Yeah, of course. So that's an advanced thing with the YouTube thing, right? So let's say if you want to create a list of people who have visited or who have seen your full ad, right? So you can create a list of those people in your AdWords campaign. Then you can target your ad to those people on search, on display, on mobile, anywhere. Right, so that's another benefit. These are in search ads, how they look like basically. So whenever somebody is searching for it, you can only show an ad to those people, right? And this is also on an auction basis, exactly like search. Then there is the display ad. You can have, sorry, this is the display ad, and there is the display ad, right?